Perfect. So we are recording now. How you doing?
Good, great. Thank
Where
you.
are you
Thanks for.
located?
I'm actually in Vancouver,
Oh,
Canada.
okay. It must be so cold now.
Actually, it's a very nice weather today. We're having some sunshine out there.
Great.
It's a bit cloudy, but it's nice.
Very nice. I'm in California, so it's really hot. It's like
Oh,
25, sometimes 30 degrees
yeah.
Celsius. Yeah.
Well, it's not like California for sure.
Great. So can you tell us, Francis, what projects you work right now on?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Katrina. I wanted to thank you for giving me the opportunity, and I'm delighted to be here today.
Yes.
Currently, well, as you may know, I have a book. I'm the author of The Third Vision, which was published in early 2013. And currently, I'm working on creating a platform and to spread the message of human empowerment and transformation all
Yes.
across the world. So currently, I've just created another audio program, a 3 CD audio program called How to Prevent Mental Illness and
Mm-hmm.
Promotes Mental Wellness in Your Child.
Okay.
Uh, and my second book, actually, as a co author, is going to be released in 2015 as well.
Oh wow. What is the name of your second book?
That's going to be called Heart to Heart.
Uh-huh.
And it's basically a series of life stories of several authors and co-authors and how what has basically changed their lives.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. And
Thank
how
you.
did you decide and when to be an empowerment leader and help people?
Well, yeah, I don't know if I'm an empowerment leader, but that's what I aspire to be, actually. There are three sort of short personal stories that led to my journey, which started at a very early age, at around
Okay.
18. One of them, the first one, is actually a very tragic story. I lost my best friend in the war, Iran-Iraq war. He was trying to voluntarily clear a minefield to open up a path for his fellow comrades so that they
Mm-hmm.
can accomplish their mission when he exploded. And as you can imagine, it's very tragic. And that really had a big traumatic impact on me. And I
Yes.
started asking these questions like, why are we even do we even have wars? Why are we killing each other? Humans, trying to understand humans and trying to understand the root causes of those wars. The second story, which happened actually to some of my close relatives and friends, was a few years later. They were suffering from addictions to substance abuse and mental addiction.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually lived with them and I saw their sufferings from very closely. And again, I asked myself, like, how are these addictions formed and how does one get addicted? Why do some people get addicted and others not? And
Yeah.
trying to understand the root causes, how can I help other people not get addicted and avoid that? And the third tragedy was the sudden death of my beloved father in 2002. He had a sudden cardiac arrest without any previous heart symptoms. So that was the final sort of wake up call for me. And I really wanted to understand, like, why do we have so many suffering, so many illnesses
Mm-hmm.
at individual, social, and global levels in the world? Despite all the advancements in science and technology, and what can we do? What can I do personally as my small role to make a difference in people's lives? So that led to my journey. It took me 10 years to write my book. I did a lot of intense research and finally came out with the book. So now my goal is to share that vision and my understandings with the rest of the people, whoever is interested.
Beautiful. And where is your book available?
Well, the first book, The Third Vision, was released in early 2013. It's available online. It's
Okay.
available on my website, francisvala.com.
Uh-huh.
On Amazon, it's pretty much available online all over the world.
Great. Awesome. And do you have any role models, or did you have any role models on your way to empowerment?
I did actually. I have a few role models. Some of them are dead, some of them are alive. The first role model, actually, which was very inspirational to me in my teenagers, was, believe it or not, Avicenna. Um, uh, he was. I just loved his character. But during my path, actually, Oprah is one of my
Yeah.
favorite role models. I just love her character and the way she
Yeah.
wants to give to the world. Um, for this journey in writing this sort of book, so this genre, basically, Tony Robbins was one of my inspirations as well. So he had a great
Uh-huh.
impact on me early on.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Oprah and Tony Robbins, one of my also biggest role models. And now recently, Elon Musk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, do you have, Francis, any rituals that you do every day, morning or night, to keep yourself in best spiritual and emotional and physical shape?
I, actually, I do. I do. One thing I learned uh, was from one of the books called The Slight Edge, basically, is that insignificant actions done consistently lead to significant results. And I learned that. So, what I've been doing for the last couple of years or so is a number of small rituals. So, first thing I do is gratitude. So I try to remind myself of all the blessings in my life. So I'm thankful and grateful of, okay, try to count all the blessings. Everybody in the world has some good things in their lives and some bad things in their
Yeah.
lives. So it depends on which ones we want to choose and focus on. So I count those. The next thing I do after I'm brushing my teeth is I do a 1 minute meditation. And that's a very simple way just to connect to my focus on my breathing and the
Mm-hmm.
oxygen, etc. After that, I do very brief exercises, the three types of exercises for about 10 minutes or so. Then I go to work. And the at the end of the evening, before going to sleep, I do another 1 minute meditation. Usually, sometimes I skip that. And before going to bed, what's very important is the last minutes before you go to bed. So what I do, I try to remember and revisit all the positive things and events that have happened during the day.
Beautiful.
And the reason for that, I've explained in chapters 11 and 12 in my book. There's a lot of scientific reason why that's so important. And
Mm-hmm.
it has to do with how, your brain waves change from beta to alpha, then theta and delta. So when you go to bed, you want to be in a positive mental state. That's very important for your mental and physical health.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. I'm always curious, and I ask anybody I'm speaking with their point of view on how many hours you guys sleep. So, all successful and driven people need some energy, but they also need time to accomplish everything. So, what's your outlook on how many hours a person requires to sleep?
Well, I try to follow science, and the science tells us that you need anywhere between 6 to 8, 9 hours of quality sleep in a day.
Okay.
It's not recommended to have less than that, and more than 9 hours is generally not very useful either. So I try to have at least about 7 to 8 hours of sleep.
Okay, great. Well, that's amazing. And obviously, you're a successful author and leader. And I'm curious, what is success to you personally?
Um, Success, I believe, is having the courage, the determination, and willpower to materialize your dream and to be the person that you believe you were meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually one of my favorite quotes that was used by someone named George Sheehan, which I have sort of acquired and made some modifications to that definition and used it for myself.
Great. And on your way to success, you probably have you build some kind of strategy that maybe other people can follow. So, can you tell us more, please, about that?
Absolutely. So, um, until the publication of my book, I was really focused on that. What was important for me was trying to answer some profound, unexplained questions, and trying to do the research and find the science behind it. So after the release of my book, then I realized, okay, now how am I going to spread the word and what I've learned through these 10 years or more with the rest of the world. So I started training myself on marketing and building a strategy to do that. So I'm creating a platform to share my messages through online marketing, through online messaging, YouTube, social media, all these things. But also another thing that we're doing is I've started a movement called the HEAT movement. And there's a number of people involved, and it seems to be growing quite well. But usually these kind of movements take several years before they reach that critical mass to have a significant global impact.
Absolutely.
So what we envision to do is train the trainers model, basically to create a system and pass on the knowledge and the practical tools of empowerment and try to establish sort of heat hubs all across the world with people who are trying to create a global community of like-minded people who are interested and share the same vision to connect together and come to those and use those hubs and resources as their tools for empowerment.
Absolutely. And when you say empowerment and share the same vision, what is your vision and in which way do you empower and who is your audience?
My audience is the general public, anyone who is interested and willing to be empowered and transformed. So I'm not going to go knock on doors trying to find, but in fact, all we do is look, we are here. We have a platform that we would be happy to share for those who are willing to be empowered. And what that is, basically, there's I would like to reach out to the audience to help them be empowered in one or more of the four foundations of life: the body, mind, soul, and social aspects. So to achieve their highest levels of potentials in any of these four foundations. And we've actually established some quantitative measurements, some charts and measurements charts where they could follow, okay, today this is where I am. I'm at, this is my score, potential score in this category. And next year I've improved, I'm at a higher score. So there's quantitative measurements and scales that they can use to see their growth and measure their progress.
That's great. That's interesting. So when is your platform is going to be available?
It is available already through my website, basically. So in this entire year, we've been creating a system. It's called, it's my website, francisvala.com or heatglobalcommunity.com. So anyone who's interested, if they visit my website, there's going to be ongoing free content, videos, audios, for the audience to give them the tools of empowerment.
Great. That's amazing. And you help so many people to be empowered and happy. What brings happiness to you personally?
Well, Katrina, I think that needs a little bit of clarification. I mean, the way I see happiness is two aspects. You can have day-to-day events that make you happy. If you hear good news or if somebody gives you a promotion, you become happy for short term. So if we're talking about short-term happiness on a day-to-day basis, that's one thing. Then there's the long-term happiness or contentment, which is steady state. So for short-term, simple things of life, a joy in the laughter of a child, for example, reading a book, walking into the nature, connecting with nature, simple things like this, socializing with your friends, those really make me happy. But for the long term, for the sort of contentment, there's a principle and philosophy that I follow, and I've learned that from my dad, is play hard, work hard, serve hard.
That's
and
great.
if you keep that balance between, pleasure, you're pleasuring and take care of yourself, and working and, financially and socially meeting your social engagements and commitments, and then serving to go beyond yourself to help others. For me, that has worked consistently. If I try to follow and maintain the balance between these three angles, and I have to say, I'm pretty content.
That's great. So how do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, well, I see myself continuously growing and learning more. I am a lifetime student. So, I will be constantly working. I will have likely developed and completed my platform. I see myself having published more books, more products, more videos, online programs, mentorship courses, online courses, life coaching courses. So there's a number of products that sort of I've lined up to be working for the next few years. I see myself having significant number of followers and audience, basically, because everywhere that I talk about these, people just seem to love it. It's like, oh my God, that's what I'm looking for. That's what we need. And I also see myself partnering with a lot of aligned partnerships, organizations, individuals who are talking about these things, making significant changes. What I see myself bringing to their table is the science part, the scientific and evidence part, which seems to be lacking in this whole expert industry.
Amazing. And what is that left for you to achieve something grandiose?
Well,
long-term vision.
Long-term vision, really, this is something, Katrina, I've dedicated the rest of my life to. It's this broad, grand vision of human empowerment and transformation. I don't see a specific long-term vision. That would be the big goal, but I've sort of broken down to mini goals and trying to follow phase by phase. I think collectively putting all these products and services together and offering it and maximizing my reach to the global population, I think once we reach that critical mass, that's going to allow the significant impact, hopefully leading to some meaningful change within communities or even globally. So that's sort of what I envision in long term.
Okay. So let's get to some specific example. For example, somebody feeling disempowered, they have those limiting beliefs and stories in their head. What does it take to change that situation and become an empowered person?
So my focus is mostly on prevention and education.
Okay.
Just to remind you that I've been practicing medicine for 18 years.
Yes.
And what I'm shifting now is mostly what we do in the general health system is focus on cure. Okay, yes. A problem has happened. How do we fix it? How do we cure it? Okay. The problem I have with that, and that's why I'm shifting more towards prevention and education, is because we don't have enough resources globally and collectively to address the massive illnesses, physical, mental, social illnesses that are happening. And what we're dealing is only the tip of the iceberg. Okay, and most of our resources are allocated to the tip of the iceberg, which is probably about 10%. And we're missing out on the other 90% that are about to become sick, that are about to get sick. How do we address those? So, and I believe that we need to dedicate more resources to the population under the water, the 90% of the glacier, the people who are about to get sick. So, to address your question, my expertise is trying to help them understand the root causes of how these illnesses and sicknesses are formed. Whether we're talking about physical illness, What are the root causes? Where does the problem start early on until it leads to, diabetes and cancer and stroke, etc. And in mental health, basically there is like a tree of mental health. A lot of the disorders that we're dealing with, there's probably over 30 different ICD-10, classified disorders, mood disorder, anxiety disorders, eating disorders, behavior disorders, etc.
Yeah.
But when you look at it deeply, and this is what I've sort of alluded to in my book, is it's like a tree, that many of these illnesses, in fact, are rotten fruits on the same tree. And what we're missing is I believe we have failed to see the common denominator of many of these illnesses. So what I try to do is help people say, look, this is where the problem starts early on. The fundamental principles of the problem at the roots level, at the trunk level of this tree, before you develop schizophrenia, before you develop OCD and these mental disorders. Yeah. So help them understand the root causes, and a lot of that is transformation. Because if you give them these tools, what I find oftentimes is once they understand what's going on in their mind and in their brain, they themselves are able to find the solution. You give them some practical tools, and they will find it.
Oh, that's amazing.
So it's been quite a journey for me.
So you basically work with anybody, adults or teenagers?
Mostly my work is on adults for now.
Okay.
Yes, although the teenage and the children, I do have plans in the future. But right now I'm targeting the caregivers and the coaches of these. So, for example, my recent audio program will be targeted towards young parents, and especially for the first 5 or 6 years of their children's lives. That's when most of these maladaptive patterns are built in their brain that leads to disorders later on in their life. So helping the parents understand and take care of their children, helping coaches and teachers understand where the problem starts in early childhood.
Absolutely.
And take care of and see those signs, familiarize them with the red flags that they may see.
Yeah.
And in the future, I'll be addressing the teenagers and younger ages directly as well.
Wow, that's interesting. So what are your credentials to help to help prevent those illnesses?
Absolutely. So I'm a medical doctor. I got my MD degree at the age of 25, and I've been practicing since then. So I am a clinical assistant professor at the University of British Columbia. I do public speaking, and I've got a few years expertise in providing mental health as well as general medicine. I'm also a bariatrician, so I'm a medical weight loss specialist. And the things we do in bariatric medicine is actually the body parts, trying to help people understand that, look, this is where the early metabolic impairments starts. Yes. in the fat cell. It's about insulin resistance, etc. And this is how they lead to, in most cases, not all, to diabetes, to stroke, to heart disease, to several types of cancer. So what we do in our clinics, actually, we focus on getting them to lose weight, and their blood pressure goes down, their cholesterol goes down, their blood sugar goes down secondarily. Wow. And I say, look, this is evidence that if you address the root causes, many of these secondary chronic diseases that you have developed will automatically improve. And we actually get a lot of patients off of their medications. And this is not in my clinic alone. You will see a lot of other similar specialists across the world. They have the same experience as well.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And it's also, everything is connected, right? Mind and the body. So people that are overweight, the problem is somewhere emotional.
A lot of times it's emotional. It's a combination. Usually it's a biopsychosocial. So a lot of times it's biological reasons, sometimes psychological, social factors. Yeah. All of these work together. And that's another thing that's sort of part of my message, trying to help people understand, look, we are all one unit, one big unit. We are all interconnected. And if we fail to see this connection between ourselves, that leads to a lot of illnesses that we have. One of my favorite metaphors that another role model, Bruce Lipton, uses is, look, we are like, there's 50 trillion cells in the body, okay? And they're all working together to serve you, me, the body. If we start looking at the world as one body of humanity, each individual, you, me, and other people, are like little cells playing our role and serving for the bigger cause and for the bigger purpose, for the body of humanity. Mm-hmm. If we start looking ourselves as those roles and looking at the connection between, not only between our mind and body and soul, but also ourselves with the other people in the world, if we start seeing the connection between us and not feeling individualized and disconnected, then things are going to start falling into place. So that's what the third vision is about in my book. It's introducing this new vision, this new mentality that, look, we need to start looking things differently if we want to see different results, if we want to resolve these illnesses that we have been suffering for thousands of years.
That's such an interesting theory. I like it. And if somebody wants to get in touch with you, ask more questions, how do they can get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So on my website, I've provided my email address. It's francisvala00@gmail.com. That's my email. And also they can write messages on my website. And I've got a Facebook page. I've got quite a number of followers there. So I would love to connect with my audience and answer any questions they may have.
And we post all the links below this video, so you guys can go to those links and reach out to Francis. And is there anything else would you like to add to inspire and empower your followers?
Well, sure, yes. I just want to, my dream and my hope is to help people understand the power within themselves. If we only knew, and to be honest, I didn't realize this until I did this project, and I personally went through this transformational journey myself. And I came to realize that, look, there's hidden powers within us, in our minds, in our souls, that, and not only me and you, but everybody has these hidden powers, that if we understand and discover those and tap into those resources, it's extremely powerful, and we can do unimaginable things that we could have never imagined. We just need to understand those and believe in ourselves, start believing. And what I'm trying to do is bring the science behind that. This is why I'm making these comments, and it's just not a belief, but it's backed up by science. So if they start seeing and believing in themselves, I wish that they could achieve, access the knowledge and practical tools to start empowering themselves. And once they do that, they are able to fulfill and live their highest levels of potential. So my tagline is, fulfill and live your ultimate potential, fly up with love, purpose, and passion.
Wow,
that is what my message is to my audience, and I would be more than happy to support the material, the scientific material of why I believe this is true.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Francis.
Thank you, Katrina.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
I think that's it. One of the things that I don't know, I may have missed is just the way. One of the things that I think distinguishes extraordinary people from ordinary people is the way they think. If you think, it's said, there's a quote that you will become what you think, or you are what you think. If you think ordinarily, you're likely to become an ordinary person. If you think extraordinarily, there's a good chance you will become extraordinary. And all the big names and the big leaders in the world and history, when you look at them, they have this amazing vision and different way of thinking. Have established this vision, they're able to see things that other people cannot see. And that vision usually starts from their way of thinking. They think outside of the box.
Yeah.
They question everything. Just because so-and-so said this is how it works, well, this is how it works. Or just because there is, people say that this is good or this is bad, well, this is good or this is bad. To start questioning those, and I challenge, my message to my audience is challenge everything. I always, in my public speakings, I tell my audience, just because I'm telling you this, don't believe it. I want you to question me. I want you to challenge me. I want you to ask me to provide backup proof for myself. And not only me, but everybody else. If you start thinking that way, you're going to start thinking outside of the box and then look at possibilities.
Yeah.
And that's how we empower our creativity.
Great. Well, thank you again, Francis.
Thank you, Katrina, for having me. It's been a pleasure, and I'm very delighted to have this opportunity.